This life is long, and when we are on the pursuit of being exceptionally high-performing individuals among those that we know, we need to know that if we are unwilling to burn out, then we never figured out how to start the flame in the first place. My name's Turab. I make videos about emotional intelligence daily. My intent is to inspire those that have been like me for many years and that perhaps are like me right now watching this video well after I've recorded it. When I get to a point in my life where perhaps my health is lacking, perhaps my information and inspiration is lacking, there are only a couple things that I can think of that help me get back on the horse. And one of the main ones is rationalizing why I got on the horse in the first place, why exactly I filled my plate up so I could eat. And most of the time, the answer that I get to is, dude, you're a pretty smart guy, and at the end of the day, if you didn't do these things, you wouldn't really have much to do with your time. We have a lot of time in life. When we get to a point where we know how to use it for an extended period, it starts to make a lot more sense to use it for things that are actually impactful. Use it for things that have a defined end goal. And the reason I say this is because I have spent a tremendous amount of time recently drastically changing who I am as a person. And so in the pursuit of this, I'm transforming into my vision of Turab. I'm transforming into whatever it is that allows me to not waste my time. And it's not even necessarily about the concept of wasting time. It doesn't matter if we sit around as a rock or if we decide to go and pursue the limits of human productivity like Musk and the other leaders in the world. What matters is whether or not we're enjoying the life that we're living in a macro sense, not moment to moment, but really the person that we're becoming. And the burnout conundrum is a funny one to me because it assumes that when someone hits a point where the valley of despair or staring into the abyss or whatever it is in life that just is unfathomable, that gives us a situation where logically it doesn't make sense anymore to continue or emotionally we're not invested enough to continue, that the assumption is that we will stay at that point. And it's unrealistic because change is the only constant. By virtue of this, and by virtue of the innate chaos in the universe, it would behoove us instead to realize that, okay, we might have periods where we lack in our productivity or our confidence or our why, but that those periods won't last forever. And really it's our ability to how quickly we bounce back into that momentum that determines whether or not we're actually going to succeed. I mean, failure really only happens in life when we give up. So I was sick this weekend, I'm sick today, and I had to take a nap, frankly, just to get my energy reserves back, but also just to heal my body up, because I knew that I have a lot to do, that I've set for myself, that I'm grateful that I have to do. And what the necessary thought process, I believe, of philosophical productive people is that when we hit a wall, or when we hit an edge in our life, to have a bit of an existential crisis, wondering that, you know, is this moment going to last for my entire life? Is this the thing that's going to be holding me back? I don't know. But maybe I just take myself too seriously. You know? At the end of the day, like, no one gives a shit if Turab does things or Turab doesn't do things. Turab cares. You know, no one gives a shit if you do things. Hopefully you care. Hopefully that's why you're watching these videos, to put into context what it means to be someone that's pursuing their version of their life, their ideal of who or what they want to be. And so on days like this, when perhaps I'm lacking sleep, or perhaps I'm literally ailing, or perhaps something comes up that's super, super important to me, that important enough where I have to make sacrifices on the consistency, the thing that I always come back to is, Turab, like, fine, like 4 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, right, went by, and perhaps we didn't make these major moves, and you got a lot of work to catch up on, sure. But in the scheme of a life, like, what the fuck does it matter, dude? You know? Just go and do the thing, do it to the best of your ability, to the point where you don't resent yourself, and just carry on, right? I've been through enough stuff in my life to know that change is indeed the only constant. And I've lost my father when I was 9 years old. I moved a lot. I had to change friends a lot. I've tried to develop as a human being consistently, which in itself requires sacrifice. I've held on to tradition. I've held on to the family, right? And that in itself has its challenges and sacrifices. And what I've realized through all of this is that it's made me who I am. And that means that these days where things aren't moving at a high terminal velocity, these are formative too, because I get to think again, and I get to appreciate again why. You know, why am I doing the work? And I was listening to an interview. I think Bill Gates was talking to Jay Shetty, and he was saying that every 6 months he goes away for 2 weeks and just kind of decompresses and reanalyzes everything. And from my understanding from Tai Lopez, Bill Gates is technically one of the richest people in the world because of the investments that he's made. What does that mean, right? Money aside, even though I think money really is a genuine indicator of how productive and useful we are as human beings to society, not just to ourselves and our hedonist motives. But what that means is that if out of 6 months, you require 14 days of essentially doing nothing, and when I say essentially doing nothing, of chaotic time, of time that doesn't necessarily have a defined structure or schedule, I would imagine that most other people that are following in those footsteps and aren't at the level of productivity as someone as Bill Gates is, that number is extrapolated. There was a graph that I saw a while back about how the top performers in society, and I think this was PBD, he was looking at the graph of productivity of top performers in society. And where most people dwell is a situation where we get really, really excited about something, we do a lot of work, but that's a short period of time that we do that work, and for the majority of our time, we're kind of lower on the productivity scale. The people that are highly productive, the people that are the top performers in society, just have a higher minimum threshold for what it requires to do work. They're more stable, so they get more done over time. Constant velocity means more distance. That's just physics. In order to get to points where we're actually improving that lowest threshold, we need to hit the threshold, and we need to get sick and tired of the threshold, right? Like, no one else is gonna hold us accountable to how productive or how useful we are in society. Like, no one cares. Frankly, most people are gonna look at us, and if we're pushing past where we were 6 months ago, they're gonna look at us with resentment because it's hard to do, and they don't wanna see that mirror, you know, in front of them. So, I mean, I say all this to say, listen, you're gonna have ups and downs, right? Like, we need to have that. I think it makes life interesting. It's part of the contrast theory. It's part of the, I don't know, making life fun and novel, right? Like, why do all the same things all the time? Well, Musk is known to say that, life shouldn't be a series of just solving hard and annoying problems. There should be more to it. He's also someone that says starting a business is like eating glass while staring into the abyss. These things are both true. And just imagine the depth of knowing both those things in a very personal sense, right? Like, as humans, we need that contrast to make life interesting. So if you're having a rough day, if it's not as productive, or if you're having a rough week or a rough month, or you're sick and tired in any capacity of your productivity, I say, listen, like, dwell on it, figure out a reason that would push you past who you are now, and don't take it so seriously, you know. If you're anything like me, you'll get serious. You'll get serious. Don't worry about it. Actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you. Take care of yourself. I'll see you on the flip.